Hello. Hi. Welcome to Igbo Queer and Unfiltered Podcast. My name is Charles. Hope you had a good week. I did. Something happened last week, and this has been happening all over Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, and so many other places. Last week, I said that I am going to take my time to sit over this before I speak on it. What is happening in Senegal and Uganda is not isolated. It is part of a deliberate political strategy. And a lot of our people tend to not really think about this deeply. This is a part of a deliberate political strategies when governments are under pressure, like some of our leaders are, who are not doing what they are supposed to do for our economies, for our people. What then happens is economic instability, youth unemployment, corruption, insecurity. And what happens is the easiest distraction is what? Is they begin to panic morally because they think that they are better than everybody morally. And who is the target? Where people becomes the target, because a lot of our leaders then are not looking at all this nonsense. They want to prove to people that they are morally better. They begin to panic and they come up with all these nonsense rules and laws. And we as LGBTQIA plus individuals are the target in situations like this. And this is absolutely horrible. In Senegal, the proposal to increase prison sentences isn't happening in isolation, in a vacuum. This is the same thing across Africa. When you stay quiet, whether you are a queer person or not, none of us are free until each and every one of us is free, are free. However you want to phrase this. Same-sex relations were already criminalized in Uganda, in Senegal. Now they want to escalate the punishment up to 10 years, which means the ones you have already is not enough for you. You want to now make it up to 10 years. This is deliberate intimidation. It's the same thing with the Same-Sex Act in Nigeria that sentences you to 14 years imprisonment. I do not understand why a lot of our leaders think that this is okay. In Uganda, under Anti-Homosexuality Act, people are already living under one of the highest anti-LGBTQ legal regimes in the world. The detention of two women for kissing, it is exactly what the law was designed to do, to enable all of this nonsense. So you're saying that two women kissing, where someone reported them, you now believe that they are lesbians, yada, 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 and now you are sentencing them to whatever you call it. I am going to say something. This is a system functioning the way it is intended, to intimidate you, to intimidate me, and intimidate every fucking body. Because I am going to tell you this today. When there is no LGBTQIA plus individuals to attack, to lock up, to send to prison, they will come for you. This whole thing is not about protecting our culture across Africa. It is about control. And I don't think a lot of you know this. When a state, when a country criminalizes identity, do you know what it creates? It creates fear, silence, informants, social policing, and public humiliation. It teaches society that queer people are disposable. This is why on a daily basis, whenever I am on social media, all I hear is that you are a wasted 9 months. You should go to hell. We are going to unalive you. We will make sure that we kill you with our bare hands. I wish that I can come in contact with you so I can kill you. And this is what you enable by creating these acts and laws and regulations, or whatever you want to call it. When a government can arrest two women for a kiss, it is not about morality. It is about reminding everyone who holds power. What this is saying is that we decide whose love is valid and whose existence is criminal. Because this is not about morality. What they are doing is that they are telling you that we hold the power. We are telling you that we decide whose love is valid and whose existence is criminal. And the existence of LGBTQIA plus individuals is criminalized. And this is then giving power to people who are good for nothing, who do not have common sense, who do not have critical thinking, to think that they can speak to you and maim you and attack you and even kill you with their bare hands. I have seen so many of these happen across Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cameroon, in so many places where people take it upon themselves to go and unalive someone because that person is a gay person, because that person is a lesbian. This is not okay. This is authoritarian regime and logic. Whether people want to admit it or not, it is authoritarian. You are telling people that their existence is not valid, that they are not a human being, that their humanity is nothing. I sit down and I think about this all the time. I begin to ask myself, where are all this coming from? How did this come here? Where did it start from? And I'm looking at colonization, because many LGBTQIA plus laws in Africa are rooted in colonial penal codes. They all came by way of colonization. The irony is that many of the same laws being defended as African values are colonial imports. British penal codes criminalize same-sex intimacy and relationships across the colonies. And now, decades later, thousands of years later, politicians in Africa are defending those colonial laws as sacred African traditions. I don't know how to make sense of this, because you hear things like that these laws, LGBTQIA plus, being a lesbian, being gay, trans women is nothing that happens in Africa, it is imported. And I'll be looking at them. A lot of you are defending colonial laws because homophobia was imported to Africa. And our leaders refuse to let go of this. I want to make this clear. Queerness is not imported. Criminalization of queerness was imported into Africa. And a lot of you need to understand this. I am sick and tired to the depth of my soul every time I see a queer person maimed and attacked, beaten, and killed in our societies. And a lot of people defend things like this by way of Christianity, by way of religion, that God forbids this, that this is not our culture, it is against our laws, it is against our belief systems, and things like this. It is horrible. The political utility of queer scapegoating, they use queer people as a scapegoat. I am going to be extremely honest to you, and I know some of you know this already. Governments in Africa gain politically from targeting LGBTQIA plus communities. Because what it does is it allows them to do whatever they are doing, and people will think, oh, you're doing a good thing by calling out these evil people. What it does is that it unites conservative religious groups and belief systems and whatever have you. It detracts from economic failures. It rallies nationalist sentiments. It frames leadership as protectors of morality. It is strategic. It is used as a strategy to make you forget their failures and not look into the things that they are not doing correctly. When leaders cannot fix unemployment, inflation, corruption, and infrastructure, it is easier to point at queer people and say, oh, they are the problem. This is the threat. These are the people causing the problem here. This is why some of our queer people as well sometimes tend to believe that they are struggling because of their queerness, that God is punishing them. It is a diversion tactic dressed up as moral leadership. A lot of these people who are telling you all of this nonsense, these leaders who are coming up with these laws, these rules, these regulations, this act, and all of these wicked rules and meanness against queer people are hypocritical. Some of them have massive skeletons in their cupboards. I know a lot of you who are extremely religious will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you saying? Queer people are evil. They are horrible. They are devils. They should go to hell. They deserve to be in prison. But the thing is, you are not looking at the bigger picture and are not seeing what your leaders are doing. Because they throw you a bone, and that bone is queer people. You latch onto it, you believe them, you look at them and you be like, oh, they believe in God. That is why some of the leaders who are extremely wayward and evil will use God to convince a lot of you that they are doing something good. Meanwhile, they are morally depraved. A lot of you forget that there is massive real life impact, and that impact is about LGBTQIA plus individuals, because laws don't just exist on paper. They create blackmail, family violence, forced marriages, police abuse, mental health collapse, exile, and asylum. migration and immigration. That is why a lot of our people from Africa are running to countries where they feel like they are accepted and can live their life unapologetically. When you criminalize someone's identity, you legitimize abuse from the police, their neighbors, family members, and employers. You make it easier for them to target queer people and do whatever they want to do with them without any care, because there is no consequences for their bad actions on queer people. If they kill you and do whatever they want to do to you, nobody is going to fucking care. That is why police in most of our countries will stop you when they suspect that you are a gay person. They will be like, bring your phone, let's take your phone. And then they begin to target you and take bribe from you. If you don't give them any bribe, they will fucking lock you up because your humanity is nothing to them. And then you have some of your neighbors who will decide to call the police on you or report you to the authorities, saying that you are a gay person. Family members will be mean to you and throw you out. Sometimes you won't even be able to get a fucking job because of who you are that you did not choose to be. You did not create yourself. I am sick and tired of this. We speak about this every fucking time. And some of you, it goes into your right ear and goes out of the left ear because you think it doesn't have anything to do with you. These laws don't just put people in prison. They put them in hiding. They fracture families. They push people into exile. They create trauma that lasts for generations. Can you think and look at this? There's a saying in my language, when someone else passes away and people are crying and it doesn't have anything to do with you, you'll be like, it doesn't have anything to do with me. What's my own? You'll be living your life. A lot of you lack empathy. You lack empathy. And because you lack empathy, you do not see queer people as humans. That is horrible. I don't even know what to say about this. Sometimes I think about the international angle to this, like the world at large, how they just sit there and allow for things like this to happen in a lot of our countries. Western governments condemn these laws publicly. But you know what continues? Economic partnerships. Trade continues. Arms and ammunitions and weapons and all of these things. The deals for these things continue. As a gay Igbo man who is juicy, glowy, moisturized, hydrated, protected by my ancestors, divinely protected, unbothered, I know what it's like to be here. As a queer African man, this is not abstract for me. It is personal. It is about knowing that somewhere on the continent, 2 women can be arrested for affection, that prison time can double for loving someone of the same sex. I have been threatened so many times. My life, my mental well-being has been attacked. They try to break me. I'm not broken. They want to break my soul. You cannot break my soul. You can never break what is not broken. I will continue to be here. As someone who understands what is at stake, I will never despair. Criminalizing queer people doesn't strengthen a nation. It weakens that nation. It normalizes state intrusion into private lives. It erodes freedom. And as we know it as a people, history shows us something very, very clearly. That when government starts deciding whose identity is criminal, it rarely stops with one group. This is why I say that none of us is free until each and every one of us are free. Is free. I want to make each and every one of you to know this clear, because this is not only about LGBTQI plus individuals. It's about what kind of societies African nations are choosing to build. It is building a society that doesn't allow for you to have any rights, great quality of life, and things like this. And I am going to say that I'm still an Igbo man and I'm still queer. And nothing is going to stop me from being there. Because for some people, once you come out as queer, you have automatically resigned from your tribe. And this is the same thing that is happening across Africa. The fact that people tell you that you have to choose who you are, either you are Igbo or you are gay. You can't be Igbo and gay, and you can't be African and gay, because being gay is nothing that happens in Africa. This is why we have a lot of these anti-LGBTQIA plus laws that are extremely horrible. There is this narrative in many African spaces, even Igbo spaces. If you are gay, you are no longer African. You are no longer an Igbo person. You've abandoned your culture. This is not who we are. But who decided that, actually? culture is not owned by the loudest conservative people, uncle, relatives in the room. It is not defined by the pastor with a microphone. A lot of what people defend as African tradition is colonial. It is a colonial Christianity layered over indigenous identity. The anti-queer laws in Nigeria, in Senegal, in Ghana, in Africa, in Uganda, all of them is colonial. We as queer people are always accused of importing something that is foreign. And you and I know that LGBTQIA plus people are not imported. People are gay in every part of the world. Nobody imported homosexuality into Africa. A lot of you tend to project a lot, and that is horrible. I want to take you to me growing up as Igbo and gay. I was taught that I should respect my elders, carry the family name well, marry, have children, make your parents proud. Can you imagine adding queerness into that equation? Adding the fact that I'm a gay man. You know what you then begin to do? You begin to learn early in your life how to code switch, how to try as much as possible for them not to know that you are gay. At home, you answer questions strategically. You become extremely clever. When you go to church, you sit quietly. With friends, you edit yourself. You bring the most straight version of yourself, the most manly version of yourself according to what they believe masculinity is. You become hyper aware. You become diplomatic. You survive. But you know the thing, the truth of the matter is that survival can be extremely exhausting when it is done in the way we as queer people do this. And over time, the question becomes, am I allowed to exist fully? And this is where I got up to, where I said to myself, I am never, ever going to make myself small. I do not fucking care if Nigeria, Senegal, Uganda, Ghana, Burkina Faso have anti-LGBTQIA plus laws. I do not care. I will start existing fully. You can insult me however you want to insult me, but I am still a gay man and I will live my life fully. We as queer people always have internal conflict, and it has a lot of mental struggles attached to it. When you are raised to believe that being a gay person is incompatible with your identity, something happens to you. Something massively gets shredded inside of you. You may want to pray it away like some of us did. You may try to date differently. And by dating differently is by you, if you are a gay person, you try to date a woman to see if you will be able to not be this gay person that you are. If you are a lesbian, you may want to date a man to try to not be that person that they told you that you shouldn't be. You may try to suppress it. But you know the thing? The truth of the matter is, identity, who you are, doesn't disappear just because it is inconvenient. So what are you going to do? So what happens to us? You either shrink or you start questioning the narratives. And questioning doesn't mean rejecting your roots. It means interrogating what was added to them. You can question yourself and question all of these things. I did a lot of questioning. I asked myself a lot of questions. That is why I am a problem for a lot of these people. When you deconstruct, when you challenge the things that you've been taught, when you say to yourself, I really don't believe that I am wrong, that is not you betraying anybody. When you ask yourself all of these questions and you come to the realization that you should not be making yourself small like this, it is you getting to a point where you are honest to yourself. I went through all of these things. Thank goodness I wasn't in a situation where I felt like I need to pray it away. And this is why I say to a lot of these homophobic people that you cannot pray it away. You cannot insult it away. You cannot make anybody who was born queer not to be gay, not to be a lesbian. You cannot do that. I want each and every one of us that is listening to this episode to deconstruct a lot of things. Question things intellectually. Reason. Ask yourself questions. These things that I was taught, is it right? Is this correct? Am I wrong? Am I a mistake? When you ask yourself these questions and you begin to challenge a lot of these things, it doesn't make you a bad person. It actually makes you a good person. It makes it that you understand who you are. I am sitting here and I am reclaiming what it means to be an Igbo man, to be an African man. Being African and an Igbo man is not just about heteronormative expectations. It's not just about that. It's not just about me getting married to a woman, being with a woman, having children, and keeping the family names. It's not only about that. There's a lot of expectations. Me as an African person, it's not just about heteronormative expectations that they expect you to be married to a woman, to have children, and do all of these things. It is language, it is music, it is resilience, it is enterprise, it is community. Why should queerness cancel that? I can love men and still understand proverbs. I can be queer and gay and still honor my ancestors. I can reject homophobia without rejecting my people. Culture evolves. Every generation edits what it inherits. Why should queer people be the only ones excluded from shaping it? Why are you always excluding it? The way I understand my culture, I'm going to use an example here. In the Igbo culture, I used to remember when I was a lot younger, there are certain rights when someone passes away that you have to do. Those things has evolved over time. There's a lot of Igbo culture that has evolved over time, changed, and people understood and made changes accordingly. But when it comes to queerness, they expect you to never, ever not be a queer person. They do not want to change their mind when it comes to their homophobia and a lot of this nonsense. Because the truth of the matter is, some of the things that a lot of our people learned, they refuse to unlearn. And I do not fucking understand why. Somehow I do understand, because some of our people are so brainwashed when they speak to you about so many things. The number of times I have listened to people tell me that I'm a sinner for being gay, and I keep asking myself, I don't understand. What sin? The number of insults I receive, if I'm not someone that is extremely strong-willed, maybe I will be crying every day, because what they want to say to you is that you don't belong. There is a massive politics in belonging. When people say to you, you are not African anymore, you are not Igbo anymore, what they are really saying is that you don't belong on our terms. That is what they are saying to you. But you know what? Belonging is not conditional on conformity. This is why I refuse to conform to any of this nonsense. And people like me who refuse to conform are a massive, massive wahala for them, massive problem. Where African people are not outsiders, where Igbo people, where Yoruba people, where Kanuri people are not outsiders. We are your sons, we are your daughters, we are your siblings, we are in every family. Silence just made it easier to pretend otherwise, because a lot of people you think are not queer people are silent, because if they make themselves noticed, if they tell you anything about them, they do not want to be your target of hatred. When you are visible like me, it disrupts that illusion that queerness doesn't exist in their families. They don't have siblings that are gay. They don't have daughters that are queer and things like this. Me being visible disrupts that. That is why I get people say to me, you are not Igbo, you are not from Africa, you are not our people, we don't have gay people in our family. But some of these people forget that some of their fathers, some of their mothers got married to their mothers and their fathers to conform for people not to know that they are gay. Just because of someone is with a woman doesn't mean that person is not a homosexual. Just because of a woman is with a man doesn't mean that woman is not a lesbian. A lot of people go ahead to get married to conform to this heteronormative idea of life. So all of you queer African people that are listening to this, I want you to know this. You don't have to remove your identity to survive. You do not have to pretend that you are not queer to survive. You don't have to reject your culture to accept yourself. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not diluted. You are not corrupt. You are not less African, less Igbo, less Yoruba, less Cameroonian, less Ghanaian for being queer. You are complete and whole. And I want to make it clear to you, you are allowed to define what being African looks like for you. Me as an Igbo man, I have defined what being Igbo looks like for me. And I am an Igbo homosexual man from Njikoka local government area of Anambra State. Everybody in my fucking village knows I'm a homosexual. That is who I am. I am juicy, moisturized, hydrated, and unbothered. I am gay and Igbo. I have defined it. That is who I am. I am an Igbo man first before being gay. That is my identity. And that should be the same for you. If you are queer and African, that is what you are. I am going to end this by saying that I am still Igbo, still gay, still a homosexual, still queer, still LGBTQIA+. I am not going to apologize for it. No apologies. There is no negotiation. And there will never be a resignation letter from me. I will continue to be a homosexual until the rest of my days. I am not resigning from it. I will continue to be it because that is who I am. And you know what? Because representation inside culture matters more than commentary outside of it. Okay? Me saying that I'm an Igbo man from Africa, from Nigeria, is powerful. And if you have any thoughts, experiences, or questions for future episodes, if you want to reach me, you can email at iqupod@myownkindofrunway.com. I have been Charles. This has been Igbo Queer and Unfiltered Podcast. You are not wrong. You are amazing. You are fabulous. You are not a mistake. You are who you are. You can be African and gay. You can be African and queer. You can be African and a trans woman, a trans man. There is nothing wrong with that. Exist inside your culture, with your culture, amongst your people, because we are the light. Until next time, stay complete, stay fabulous, stay wonderful, stay unique, stay amazing. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next episode.